Most drivers only need a brief period of wintry weather to wish they had a 4x4. A compact SUV must perform well in every situation, though, in order to be the best in its class. Image, desirability, and refining factors are equally as crucial as traction in slick conditions. The new BMW X3 is the most recent premium model that aims to fulfill this demanding all-round brief. What is driving like? This has a fantastic one-pedal driving option that is great for city driving, which is one nice feature. Despite its weight and the fact that all the power is directed to the back wheels, the performance is also very outstanding. Even though it isn't an entirely electric vehicle, instead, it is based on the ICE-powered X3. The BMW iX3 is a significant product for the German automaker and could end up being rather successful. Recently, Matt Watson from CarWow had the chance to test it. An 80 kWh battery pack and an electric motor with 282 HP and 295 pound-feet or 400 Nm of torque power the iX3. Under the WLTP testing cycle, it can travel up to 285 miles. That's 460 kilometers on a full charge, which ought to be more than enough for most buyers. The electric SUV was also built by BMW to work with 150 kW DC fast charging, which enables the battery to be charged from empty to 80% in 34 minutes. A short 10-minute charge increases the range by 62 miles, that's 100 kilometers. The iX3 shares many visual characteristics with the ICE model, despite having numerous brilliant blue highlights to set it off from the conventional design. The interior is identical to that of the ordinary X3 models, with the exception of a small reduction in luggage space due to the placement of the electric motor under the trunk. Can the iX3 defeat vehicles like the Mercedes-Benz EQC and Audi e-tron in the increasingly competitive all-electric premium SUV market? Even though preserving the environment is crucial, doing so can occasionally be annoying. Wouldn't it be nice if making the right decision was also simple? Whether it involved remembering to pack a few bags before going shopping, spending a little more money on goods that were produced ethically, or discovering that eco-friendly cleaning products aren't as effective as the unfriendly ones. Well, we'd say that switching from a gas-guzzling premium-badged SUV to an electric one is somewhat becoming of a no-brainer for many after significant developments in battery and charging technology over the past 10 or so years. Since electricity is far less expensive than gasoline or diesel, electric company vehicles' tax rates are really appealing. And at this price, you won't be forced to drive a car that handles like a milk float. Although there are many options, the Jaguar I-Pace has long stood head and shoulders above its more recent rivals, Mercedes and Audi. Its odd appearances conceal a surprisingly useful SUV with enough power to surprise drivers of sports cars if you so choose. In this instance, we are lining it up in entry-level S-trim against a student who joined the class rather later. Yes, the BMW iX3 may be seen sauntering into its workstation once the register has been summoned. The new youngster is an all-electric variation of the standard X3 as suggested by its name. Although its design is undoubtedly recognizable, up close you'll see plenty of minor style changes to maximize efficiency, as well as a few blue highlights to drive home the point that I've gone electric. It's time to find out who the class smartass is and who plans to linger after instruction. You'll likely be pleased with the iX3's performance if you're coming from a large or luxurious SUV with a conventional engine. Its lone electric motor produces 282 horsepower, and even though that power is not only sent to the rear wheels, the vehicle has outstanding traction on our wet test day and clocked a 0 to 60 mph pace of 6.2 seconds. Although performance begins to suffer a little after 50 mph, the iX3 still accelerates to highway speeds and overtakes slower-moving traffic with ample speed for the majority of drivers. The iX3, in contrast to the I-Pace, may seem a little lackluster in terms of drama to those accustomed to the slap-in-the-face urgency of a Tesla, even if the steering wheel writhers a little if you accelerate quickly from a stop like this. It achieved a 4.3-second sprint from 0 to 60 mph thanks to its two electric motors, combined 395 horsepower and four-wheel drive. The I-Pace is significantly faster, from 30 to 70 mph, which is more relevant for real-world driving. This is helpful for passing tractors on country roads or making the most of an unusual short-slip road. Of course, when it comes to electric performance, acceleration is only one aspect of the picture. There is also the little issue of range. The I-Pace has a stated range of 292 miles on a single charge, which is 7 miles longer than the iX3 thanks to a larger battery. The I-Pace would go at about 211 miles, and the iX3 192 miles based on the battery capacity of our two vehicles. and the energy used per mile on a variety of roadways. To put those numbers into perspective, the I-Pace managed 253 miles in our unbiased real range test under warmer conditions. In the same weather, we'd anticipate a comparable rise for the iX3. Both vehicles have silent electric motors, and if you like, you may also turn on some additional sci-fi sound effects. At low speeds, the iX3 makes slightly more suspension noise than the I-Pace. Although the latter vehicle is quieter than the former at 70 miles per hour, the wind and road noise it produces are more unpleasant than what you'll encounter in the iX3. BMW has launched its second electrified vehicle. The BMW iX3 has been in development for a while, and a lot depends on the electric version of the X3. One of the reasons the Germans decided to use the X3 as the foundation for their new electric vehicle is the fact that it is a very popular choice among BMW customers. However, this decision also implies that the iX3 will face some fierce competition. Since quite some time ago, Mercedes-Benz and Audi both have models in the segment. The EQC 404matic, the first production electric vehicle in the history of the Stuttgart-based corporation, is what we have from Mercedes. Even though it was a little too heavy for our tastes, we tested it a while back and were happy with how it handled itself. But now that the iX3 must compete against this vehicle, let's see how they compare. The EQC boasts a total power output of 408 PS and a maximum torque of 760 Nm or 560 pound-feet, as well as an 85 kWh battery, of which 80 kWh are really usable. Mercedes-Benz claims that this will enable its 2.5-ton vehicle to travel 417 kilometers, that's 259 miles, on a single charge. The Mercedes-Benz EQC 404matic can accelerate from 0 to 100 km per hour, that's 62 miles per hour in 5.1 seconds in a straight line. With a maximum charge rate of 112 kW DC, the battery should be charged to 80% in 35 minutes. The e-tron vehicle from Audi serves as a representation of the company. There are several variations of it available, but to keep things as fair as possible, I'll stay with the e-tron 55 Quattro. In spite of this, the Audi has exactly the same power as the EQC, 408 PS, but slightly less torque at 664 Nm, that's 490 pound-feet. It uses a 95 kWh battery, of which the car's electronics can utilize 86.5 kWh. Using a DC charger, you can recharge it at a rate of up to 115 watts, which should take 26 minutes to get from 5 to 80% battery. According to WLTP testing, the advertised range should be 436 kilometers, that's 270 miles. The 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, that's 62 miles per hour time for the 2.55-ton vehicle should be 5.7 seconds. The new electric BMW iX3 model from Bavaria does things a little differently. The iX3's overall power output is 286 PS, and its maximum torque is 400 Nm, that's 295 pound-feet. Only 74 kWh of the whole 80 kWh capacity of the battery that powers everything can really be used. However, the BMW has the maximum charging capacity and can run off 150 kW chargers, which, according to BMW, allows you to reach 80% charge in 34 minutes. With a total weight of 2.26 tons, the iX3 is also the lightest vehicle in its area. Although it does a 0 to 62 mph sprint in 6.8 seconds, it's not the fastest. In terms of range, the WLTP tests revealed a maximum of 460 kilometers, 286 miles, outperforming its rivals. Additionally, it is clear that BMW pulled back when creating the iX3. The iX3 is rather close to a conventional X3 in terms of weight, thus keeping things lighter and providing a wider range than the competition was the main goal. We'll have to wait and see if that last bit was successful. Well, that depends on your perspective. On paper, the BMW iX3 features a greater degree of autonomy than its competitors. It surpasses both the EQC and the e-tron with a claimed range of 285 miles, although as we know, actual mileage may vary based on driving habits. The iX3 is also the least powerful, lightest, and slowest automobile in this group, although not by much. The iX3 boasts less horsepower than either of its competitors, who each have over 400.